Hi, friends. Thank you for waiting. Welcome. My name is Peggy, and this is Clarity in Chaos. And apparently, I had a little bit of a mix up with dates with my co host. She's going to try to hop on right now. I feel bad. She thought that we were doing this next Saturday. So, next time I need to like verify dates and not just the word Saturday. But that's okay. Hopefully, she can hop on with me because she's one of my favorite people to talk to about like true crime and anything that has to do with this kind of stuff. um we thought about some ideas of what we could talk about, and both of us are like into true crime, like culty things, but really we're into like the behaviors behind it, which I think is what most people are into. Is we want to know why people do the things they do. um I really like to understand just the psychology behind it, because I think that there's always reasons why somebody does something. I mean, you can't just say like, "Oh, they're a psychopath," or "Oh, they're a narcissist." Like there is a reason, even if they turn out to do horrible things someday, there's something that led to that. There's a reason that they ended up doing those things. And a lot of times we know from the research has to do with bad childhoods, abuse, like sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. And one of the people, well, two of the people that I'm going to talk about today are the Menendez brothers, and we've seen them talk endlessly about how they were sexually abused by their mom, and they were verbally abused. And hi, Alicia. Hi, Sophia. Hi, Auntie. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you all so much. You guys make me happy. But with the Menendez brothers, they were abused so much as children that when they got to adults, they just snapped. I know that there is the course of thinking that they're lying and they made it up just to, cover up for why they killed their parents. That's not really for me to say. If they say that they were abused throughout their whole childhood, I'm not going to say, no, you weren't, because I'm not going to victim shame. I'm not into that. I'm going to almost always believe the victims and the survivors, because I know from personal experience that's not something I even want to talk about, much less like lie about. I know that there are those, um, you know, clout chasers. I hate that term. It just popped in my head though. And they do want to lie about their past and make things up, but Um, so Sophia says understanding the psychological aspects is prevention. And yes, 100%. And so Sophia is from Germany, and that's definitely something that just all Germans are very, very much you know, about um talking about stuff so that they can prevent anything from ever happening again in certain regards. But I think as a society as a whole, we just need to really understand people that, like, we may think they're a little off, we may think that they're cuckoo. There's so many different names for what we think of these people. And again, I'm not here to shame anybody. If you do like to write letters to people in prison, I don't see anything wrong with that. My mom, through her church, she writes letters to a couple of people who are in jail, and she actually was in this program that was really neat, where she was helping a lady who was getting out of prison. She was in prison for I think like 2 years, and then my mom was supposed to be her sponsor and help her when she got out to just kind of reacclimate. And so they did correspond a little bit while the lady was in jail. When the lady got out, they had one meeting, And then the lady had stopped texting my mom, and my mom got pretty worried. So one day, so just a little warning, this doesn't end out good. One day, the lady's mom actually called my mom because she found this phone number and these texts in her daughter's phone that she didn't know who they were from, but she knew that her daughter talked about my mom a lot and how much my mom was helping her. And she called my mom and let her know that the young lady did pass away from a drug overdose. And unfortunately, as happens so many times, the first time that she got out of prison and, um, you know, did drugs, she overdosed. And wouldn't surprise me if it was the fentanyl, as that is in everything right now in very high doses. And as this young lady probably went to prison before that was really starting to go around. Um, but my mom's definitely scarred from that, so she's not going to do that program. I don't know if she'll ever do it again. That was very hard on her. Obviously, that's that's it, I can't. I when she was telling me, I was crying. But I think that corresponding with people in prison, that's a great idea. They're so lonely. They have really nothing to do. I've had several close family members in prison, and um a couple of them have been in the 23-hour lockup, and there's just nothing to do. There's only so many books you can read. I know that sometimes they can watch TV, but only for certain hours. It all depends on what type of prison you're in. Um, I know sometimes there's little pods and you can like do social things with other inmates. You can play games or play cards, but again, there's only so much you can do. So corresponding with people, I actually had a chance to email back and forth with one of my relatives, and it cost me money to email them. It was like I had to pay for so many megabytes. But I liked because I was able to pretty much get instant responses from them, and they were able to, you know, go and check anytime they wanted. There was like an iPad that everybody shared, and they were just able to go check and see if they got any new emails. And that was a great way to communicate with them. We didn't have to worry about snail mail or how long something would take. And so then we were able to like update each other in real time of things that were happening. Um, I also think that it's great if you want to do any of those pen pal type of programs. And that's kind of what I'm going to talk about with some of these people is there's um, pen pal programs. There's a bunch of them, but you do usually have to apply to get into it. You can't just like hop in and be like, hey, yo, give me some addresses, because most of these programs do want to protect the inmates. They don't want somebody that is trying to steal their story, or things like that. They want to make sure that these people truly care, and they want to just talk to inmates. And I think that those programs are really great. Anytime the inmates can have that connection to the outside world, helps them just a little bit to keep them like grounded, and help keep them updated on what's going on outside. They get very little news inside. I think even if they choose to turn on the news on their TVs, it's just very little bits at a time. Um, they do have many prisoners do have access to I don't want to say prisoner, I'm sorry, many inmates do have access to like computers and internet, but most of the time their internet's really like like it has like the child lock on it, where there's only so much that they're allowed to talk about. Okay, so my amazing co-host Gaytrice is she's on her way home, and she's gonna hop on when she gets home. I feel so bad. I didn't mean to make her like rush home and hop on. um, Auntie says there's a difference between writing a letter to an inmate to cheer them up and trying to become a partner. Yeah, huge difference. I think that writing to somebody to just be a friend and be that connection to the outside, that's great. That's I mean, I've known quite a few people who have written, and actually I do know one person who is a huge advocate for helping people with um minor convictions, but they would get a minor conviction, but they would get like a like a long sentence, like too long of a sentence for that. She started becoming a big advocate for that because she was writing several people in jail, and she was writing to them about like um why did they get put away for so long? If they only, so many people only have like a little bit of weed on them and they get put away for years or something. And so, because she realized that and she had so many people talking to her about that kind of stuff, she um, started to become a really big advocate for that. She started a website and fundraising and all that kind of stuff. So, just being an advocate, just being a voice for people because they don't have a voice at all. They don't have anybody listening to them. And I know everybody says they're innocent, right? I mean, I'm innocent. Uh, not, right? I've probably done some things. I always say if we had phone cameras and TikTok when I was in high school, I would have probably been in pretty big trouble. So I'm so glad that I got to be a teenager in the 90s. um, so I found something really cool that I wanted to bring up. Oh, first, Sophia says you can actually have proper job training in German prisons, like becoming a fully trained chef, and we have a low recidivism rate. That's amazing. And so many countries do that. Obviously, we don't because we have very high recidivism rate. I could go on a rant, and I actually am planning on doing an episode about this. It's one of my, it's definitely one of my passions that I'm really like, I work on advocating about because the the street to prison circle is out of control here. And one of the biggest reasons is because they are not treating mostly these young men. There are women too, but they're not treating them like real human beings. They're just treating them like, well, like a number, right? It just, go to jail. We really don't care about you. Get out of jail. We don't care that you have skills or not. We really don't care about you. So yeah, that's actually an episode that I'm planning coming up here soon because it's I know of a couple programs that do train people in prisons, and I think that that's amazing. And those people come out and they can get jobs, which is another thing that's really hard to do when you get out of prison is to actually get a job, especially if you are a felon. And interesting fact about the job training is that there's a prison in Littleton, Colorado, and that's where Jared Fogle, the subway guy, happens to be right now. And the prison is minimum security, and it's mostly for um, sexual offenders. And they do like train the people. They train them on any types of different jobs. So Jared Fogle got a culinary arts certificate. I have no idea when slash if he gets out in a couple of years. He is up for parole here, I think in 2 or 3 years. I don't know where he thinks he's going to work because he can't be I mean, he's gonna have to work at like an over 21 bar. Um, but even then, um he's he still has problems with women in general. He still has problems with sex addiction and just women. So just not, I mean, aside from being a pedophile, he has tried to force himself on women too. So I don't know, like, if they're like, I don't know, a male gay bar maybe. Like, I have no idea where you would even put someone like that, because it can't be rehabilitated. There's no way. That it's just it's sunk in way too deep with him. And I'll stop talking about him because it gets me very angry. But if you want to know more information about that piece of human garbage, I did the research for the That's So Effed Up podcast episode. And I think that co-host Fallon did a great job with it, even though it was so hard for her to talk about. And it was one of those episodes that she just wanted to get over really quickly. And I think she did a great job with it. I appreciated what she did with my research, but it was awful to research and awful for her to talk about. There are two different aspects of punishment: rehabilitation and retribution. They're usually at odds, 100%. Mhm. Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like Finland's probably aunties from Finland. I feel like they're probably more progressive than we are, just because Northern Europe generally seems to be more progressive than us. But I think that the fact that so many American prisons are just a housing unit to place people and get them out and put them back on the streets and not care about them. And because the prison system is so overwhelmed, so overpopulated, there's not a lot of programs. I mean, they would have to pump so much more money into these prisons for the programs, but in the end it's going to be worth it. It's going to be a completely worth it when you stop having these people, and especially these young people, the generation Z. And you know there's millennials that have spent their entire life in prison because of the system. It just spits them out and brings them back in, and spits them out and brings them back in. And there's all of these kids that have never even had any type of job training whatsoever. They've never even been able to have a job, partly because of where they live, and partly because of just they need so many kids need money now. They need to take care of their mom now. They need to help their family now. Anyways, like I said, I could really, I will do an episode on this. I can go off. Society would be better off with rehabilitation, but the victims usually want retribution, right? And that's so true. It is. I mean, if somebody murders your sister, do you want to know that they're being trained to become a chef someday when they get out, and then they get out in 30 years and they I don't know. I think that was probably a wrong example, but okay. So back to talking about people who write letters to inmates. I did find some cool information about that. So there's what's called paraphilia, and paraphilia is experience of recurring or intense sexual arousal to atypical objects, situations, fantasies, behaviors, or individuals. And then there's hybristophilia. I assume that's how it's said. A paraphilia involving sexual interest in and attraction to those who commit crimes. Many high profile criminals, particularly those who have committed atrocious crimes, receive fan mail in prison that is sometimes amorous or sexual, presumably because of this phenomenon. In some cases, admirers of these criminals have gone on to marry the object of their affections in prison. In popular culture, this phenomenon is also known as the Bonnie and Clyde syndrome. So this is all straight off of Wikipedia. Wikipedia. Just pretty much copied and pasted. Theories of causes: low self-esteem and the lack of a father figure. That's I think if you're talking about women writing to men. Some believe they can change a man as cruel and powerful as a serial killer. Others see the little boy in that the killer once was and want to nurture him. A few hoped to share in the media spotlight or get a book or movie deal. Then there's the notion of the perfect boyfriend. She knows where he is at all times, and she knows he's thinking about her. While she can claim that someone loves her, she does not have to endure the day to day issues involved in most relationships. There's no laundry to do, no cooking for him, no accountability to him. She can keep the fantasy charged up for a long time. Some mental health experts have compared infatuation with killers to extreme forms of fantasism. They view such women as insecure females who cannot find love in normal ways, or as love avoidant females who seek romantic relationships that cannot be consummated. So I was actually really surprised that there is an actual like term for this. I thought that that was kind of neat. So hybristophilia is the people who are um, writing the letters and wanting the attention of these people. I think all of that really makes sense as far as when you're talking about a, somebody in prison, right? They can't go anywhere, they can't do anything. Though there are, I found a lot of circumstances where those people were writing to multiple women, and I'm saying women because most of what I found is women writing to male prisoners, inmates. I did find a couple circumstances with men writing to women, except that um, it's just not near as common. Like the most famous case that we have right now is Gypsy Rose Blanchard, now Gypsy Rose Anderson, and they were corresponding for a long time. I think like 2 years before they got married. It's not like they can just disappear on you, and for some that's enough. Right, seriously. Some people just want that companionship of there's always somebody that's there for you, and then if you're writing back and forth to each other and they're telling you all the right things because that's what they're going to do, right? They don't have anything else to do. So they're just going to sit there and tell you all the right things that you want to hear. You know, you're beautiful, you're perfect, you're the light of my life, you're the most wonderful thing that's ever happened to me. I can't wait to get out and meet you. Or getting them to, one of the biggest things is getting these women to put money into their commissaries. And there are women that just spend, thousands on these people, putting, money into their commissaries for them with really nothing in return, I guess, except that feeling that you think that they love you. And I'm sure love really does happen. I'm going to talk about a couple situations where there were, long-term marriages that came out of these. But um it's just, I don't think that um that it's always going to be love. I think that a lot of these like career criminals, they know how to play the system. They know how to get what they want. And they possibly are narcissists. Or at least have, the narcissistic qualities. And so they know how to manipulate through letters. It's really easy to manipulate people through a letter. You don't have to look at them. They don't see a body language. They don't hear your voice. So it's really easy to manipulate them and get them to give you whatever you want. Like in the old days, where you could bake a cake and like put a file in it or something. So I'm going to start off with, I've got my notes here. I'm going to start off with one of the most well-known, I guess, prison type relationships that there was, and that's Ted Bundy and Carol Ann Boone. There's a ton of information about them, so that one was really easy to look up and get the information for, because once upon a time, Carol Ann was very vocal. After Ted Bundy was executed, she did pretty much fall off the face of the earth. There's really not much record of her and her two children after he got executed. There's rumors that she that she moved to the other side of the country, changed her name, and that wouldn't surprise me at all if that's something that she did, because of the notoriety of being Carol Ann Bundy, right? And her children, well, the one child, his last name is Bundy, and people knew who she was and they knew her face, and she was famous herself in her own regard. So if she wanted to move across the country and change her name, I wouldn't fault her for that. But the difference between Carol Ann and other ones is that they did previously date. So they did date before his initial arrest. But why I wanted to bring them up is because Carol Ann, she never believed that he did anything wrong, ever. She never ever believed in any of his convictions. And he was convicted of several crimes in a couple different states, right? She maintained his innocence up until she stopped talking to him. And I guess she there's no documentation of a divorce between them, but she did stop communicating with him about 2 years before he was executed. But they did communicate a lot. The thing that I wanted to mention with Carol Ann and Ted, though, besides the communication and the letters, and she smuggled money into him. So he had several prison escapes, and one of them was when he was in Utah. He escaped and fled to Florida, and then when he was in Florida, he then did, I guess I don't know how to phrase it, but he did take the lives of several other people. So she gave him the money. She smuggled in money when he was in Utah, and then he was able to use that money to escape and go to Florida and do what he did again. And then they were able to get married when he was in Florida. And the interesting fact that I found out about them getting married, let me find it. So they were married in a really strange way. And at his trial in Florida, he was his own defense attorney. He had discovered a law that says if he asks if he asks her to marry him in front of a judge, the transaction would be legal. So Carol got a marriage license signed by a notary like pre-signed before the hearing that day. And during the trial, he asked her to be a witness on the stand. And then while she was on the stand, he asked, will you marry me? And she said yes. And then Ted says that they sealed the deal because he stated, I do hereby marry you. And that apparently became a legal marriage, which I thought was just so weird. That was something I'd never heard of. So because they said their I do's in front of a judge, even though he had nothing to do with it, that made the marriage legal. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up about them was this is one case where I found that the conjugal visits were very, like, they did a lot of them. And I guess in this particular prison in Florida at the time, the security guards could be bought to look the other way. And so there were several different ways that they could have sex while she was visiting him. And one was they could just have sex under the table, and the prison guards would literally, like, look the other way. And there was a water cooler in the waiting or in the visiting room. I guess they could have sex behind the water cooler. And it wasn't uncommon for any of the inmates there to do this. And so Carol Ann did get pregnant after about 2 years, and she says that the baby was his. I wouldn't say one way or the other, but she says that was his baby. So I thought that case was interesting, just because there was just so many different types of correspondence between the two. There was, writing for years, but then she physically, like, uprooted herself and her son and moved to Florida when he was in prison down there so that she could be near him. And that's got to just be so traumatic for that child. Like, your new stepdad's in jail, and I'm sure he didn't know what stepdad was in jail for, but finding out when you become an adult, whew, I feel bad for that kid. My friend Gaytrice is just about to log on here. So I'm not going to lie, the ladies who write to those murderers are perplexing to me. Why them in particular? Right, like the really bad ones, like the Ted Bundys, look, like Chris Watts, that baffles me. I think that Gaytrice has some information about that. You good to go, lady?
How are you doing?
Hi.
Okay. Hey, that's working.
Thank you for joining me. You are live.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for joining me. And you can pop up any comments that you want to pop up, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
So I did just talk about Ted Bundy.
Nice.
And Ted and Carol Ann. You know what? I was looking down at my computer. I was, like, looking at you, and then I was like, "Oh, wait. She can't see me from." Never mind. So we were talking about Ted and Carol Ann and their relationship, and what baffled me was she claimed his innocence the entire relationship. She always thought that he was innocent. She never ever believed that he did any of the stuff that he did. And he is they say that he killed 30 people, but in all reality, the number is probably way higher.
Yeah.
I don't know how she could just have a blind eye the entire time,
Now, this is his girlfriend before he was arrested and convicted, correct?
Yeah. And then
Okay.
she's the one who stayed with him.
And then I think I heard you say they had a child together.
Yeah, yeah. So they were able to do conjugal visits, but not like in the sanctioned sense, in the
Mhm.
prison that he was in Florida at the time. He was able to like pay off the guards, or the guards would, look the other way. And I guess it was fairly common for this to happen. And so they were able to consummate many times.
That's that's very interesting, I think. I
It
don't know
is
how
really,
she would stay with them, but also I I guess 2024, I'm trying to be in the year of don't be judgmental, even though I'm probably going to be pretty judgmental because this topic is super interesting. I don't know if you dove into Gypsy Rose.
I
Um,
did a little bit, but I
okay.
also wanted to wait and see what information you had too.
Well, from Gypsy, all I have is from the documentary because I actually watched that the prison's
Okay. Okay.
confessions of Gypsy Rose, and
Mhm.
the whole reason that this topic, I was always wondering, um, because we were talking about, oh, what is something that could be like it's a hot topic now with Gypsy because she's like all over the place, but
Mhm.
also the fact that we're watching her relationship with this man that she didn't know, but she says she's dating him, and this is at least the second boyfriend that we heard about, and she's in prison. She's a convicted. Well, I don't remember if she was convicted of second-degree murder or whatever,
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember the specific charge.
but anyways, most people know the story is that she like two minds collided and she just happened to have the one that was mentally ill and said, sure, I'll kill your mom. Maybe he wanted to do that. But for
Mm.
me, it's just been always interesting about how people or why people start pen paling or whatever. And then how do you technically say you are dating
Yeah.
someone who is
Yeah.
in prison? She said that so many times. And for me, again, try not to be judgmental. I guess it's their form of dating. But how do you have a boyfriend and how are you dating someone when you're in prison? Because my thought of dating is um oh, we're going to meet like nowadays people meet online, which again, I don't want to be judgmental. That sounds scary to me as well, but it's what's going on now. So we'll
Uh-huh.
stay on the topic, but you meet someone, you go have coffee, you go to the movies, you go to dinner, you
Mhm.
court, you can hold hands, you can kiss, and then, you stay in whatever your realm or your boundaries are in a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then they meet you, whoever wants to propose to whomever, and now you've got a fiance, but she's had at least two fiancés.
Right. Yeah, I saw that, and it really interested me, um, that when she said, I think one of the famous clips that keeps getting replayed is when she says that she actually tried to do everything in her power to like kind of get rid of Ryan, like telling him how evil she is and what a bad person she is, and she really like revealed her demons to him and actually was trying to push him away,
Mhm.
and he was didn't care. Like, I don't care. So I do wonder if this falls in the he thinks he can fix her type of role, or he's playing like a fatherly role to her.
Well, I'll tell you something else too. I'm like, I have no idea, but I like what you're thinking there. And someone asked, they said, have either of you beautiful? Who are you? You are awesome. Thank you. Have either of you beautiful ladies ever fallen for a bad boy? If you have, that kind of explains it. And I was thinking that as well. Now, when it comes to Gypsy, this is one of the few women in prison because typically, well, the ones that I know about are men that
Right, right. I
are
did have a harder time finding cases with women being
the
the prisoner.
men have been murderers, rapists, whatever, and the women are after them. So I get you there. But also, just for me, I was wondering what would be the reason that someone would want to have a prison pen pal, because I do believe that's how a lot of them starts. I've seen things where people, it's like lonely hearts, or oh, I'm super lonely, or maybe someone has some sort of self-esteem issues, so they are writing someone that they know is not going anywhere.
Right. Actually, here, I'm going to show you something.
Okay.
I made these cool little slides, and I'm going to bring one up. So I just copied and pasted this straight off of Wikipedia, but I did find these theories of causes, and so it's exactly what you're saying. I think the first big paragraph one says there's the notion of the perfect boyfriend. She knows where he is at all times. She knows he's thinking about her. While she can claim that someone loves her, she does not have to endure the day-to-day issues involved in most relationships. So I think that's similar to what you're saying, is that you get to have this boyfriend, and it's like they're all yours, but they're perfect because you know
You know
you
where
get
they
to
are.
control the situation. Yeah, and you know where they are at all times.
You've got the upper hand.
Yeah, and then there's also the top one, low self-esteem or lack of father figure. And then the next one is they think that they can change him,
Mm-hmm.
or the next one says that they see the little boy that the killer once was. There's just all of these reasons that people even just want to start writing these really notorious, killers and rapists.
You know, so the Netflix series was based off of it, and I think it stayed pretty true. But I've seen so many documentaries. Can you believe that Jeffrey Dahmer had people, like, they didn't go into specifics, but Jeffrey Dahmer, the man that was killing men because
Yeah.
he didn't. Again, I can't get in his brain. I'm not a therapist or whatever, but
Hmm.
he himself was homosexual. I I apologize. I'm like, I don't know what the. I was like, I think that's what you say, but he was he was homosexual, but
Hmm.
that was back in the day where you better not talk about it
Right.
because it was like a big
Still very
taboo,
taboo, and in
and
in the
probably
middle.
interracial as well because he seemed to be attracted to black men, and
Right.
and
And Asians and stuff, and that was
mhm.
also in the middle of the AIDS epidemic too, so there's just so many reasons why he couldn't really be out.
But you know, not to get into those topics, but he is, thank you, but he had women attending his trial because they were in love with him. And I am just blown away at the fact that that is what happened. Richard Ramirez. That's the
Yes,
one that made it think. That's the one that really got to me. He
yes,
had, like, his courtroom is filled with women. This
right,
man was horrible. He killed
horrible,
men,
evil,
women, kids,
didn't care
rapists.
because he said Satan was telling him to do it, right? So he
Also, you know, not to make a joke out of it because he was a horrible person, but I heard his breath was really stinky and he smelled bad. So
oh,
so I'm like, I don't get, I'm like, his, just, not to talk about people's looks because beauty and handsomeness is in the eye of the beholder, but for
right,
me, I'm thinking, you, just the fact that he's a flipping killer serial rapist makes him
mhm,
unattractive. But why in the
right,
world is somebody going to want to go to court and try to be with him?
mhm, mhm, and then yeah, and he actually did, end up getting married while he was in prison.
Ramirez did?
Yeah,
See? What in
mhm,
the world?
yeah,
The Menendez brothers. even though I know that's controversial now because a lot of people, I'm like, TikTok is trying to get them, is trying to get them out of prison.
Right.
And I don't know how I feel about that. I haven't heard anything, but the Menendez brothers, they've
Yeah.
got people swooning over them. And I think maybe both of them might be married. I did not look into that.
Yeah,
But
they both are they both are still married. Eric has been married to the same woman for quite a long time. But Lyle has been married twice, and the reason why he got divorced the first time was because she found out that he was communicating with other women through letters.
is that
And
why? So that's why they got divorced
yeah, so
because he was cheating on him.
I think that the perfect boyfriend theory is kind of that made me laugh because I was like, well, you still can cheat, right? If you're the
Mm-hmm.
type of person that thinks that you know, your mate being emotionally, you know, uh, like flirting with other people, if you think that's cheating, then they can definitely still cheat while they're in, because he was.
Yeah. Like it's a very bizarre thing.
Mhm.
It's very
Mhm.
bizarre. And
Yeah.
then yeah, and we were talking about and we were talking about Chris Watts. I mean, number one,
That's
he
the one I have really, really hard time with.
because he murdered his kids and his wife that was pregnant
Mhm. Mhm.
and just
Yeah. What kind of woman, and I'm gonna be judgy about this.
okay,
What kind of woman can still want to be with somebody like that?
a delusional one, a very delusional one. Because I didn't
Mhm.
realize this. I know that this happened in is Colorado. Do you consider Colorado your hometown too? I know you live in a different state, but I live in Colorado, and
Right.
it was the saddest thing when we found out what he did with those babies when he
Yes.
put them in a I think it was like a big old oil container or something
Yes.
and killed them one by one. The poor baby girl is like watching her dad kill her sister and
I know.
then
And she was begging for him not to do it to her. Oh my god.
exactly and then
That
that
is
mhm,
that's pure evil.
total evil. And so um I just did like a little quick search and it looked like he does have a girlfriend that is like he's moved out of Colorado and I had no idea. I
I think
thought,
he's in Wisconsin now.
look at you. You are Peggy. You are like amazing in Wisconsin and he has a girlfriend. It looks like her name is Anna and she visits him all the time if they are still dating. Like I said, I did like a quick search. But my whole thing was wondering what in the world would possess someone, man or woman, to just be attracted to somebody that's in prison, especially somebody that's serving life without parole.
Mhm.
And it's just very interesting to me the psychology. But then
Right.
again, not to mix subjects, because I think it just depends on people's their mental health or what they've gone through. Because again, not to be judgy, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of going all over the place, but it's the same thing. That's why I'm like I'm trying to watch it, even though with you, I'm like, ew, this man is nasty. I mean, murdered his wife. Oh, and then, oh, let me blame it on her. Let
Yes,
me say,
that
oh, I
she killed
saw
the
her
kids.
kill the kids. That's why I killed her. Okay,
Mhm.
you liar. But
Mhm.
anyways, it's like, okay, I don't know what's going on with them. Like you said, like so obviously self-esteem issues. You need to work on that though, because this guy's a jerk face. Um,
Mhm.
but it would be not the same, but then too, when people are like, I don't know why somebody would stay with someone that's cheating on them. I don't know why somebody would stay with someone that's beating them. It's just a question that I ask, and I don't know what besides Auntie wondering why. What are some of the other people thinking of what could possess a man or a woman to want to
Mhm.
be to want to date, quote unquote, someone that's in prison.
Right. Um, didn't Manson get married too? And the wife wanted his child. Okay, so Manson did get married. No, I'm sorry, he did not actually get married. He was engaged, and he found out that she was a clout chaser, and so yes, she wanted his child because and actually he was 80 at the time, and she wanted his child, but she wanted it so that she could have, like, so that she could make
Say it
money.
was Manson's baby.
Yeah. And
That
then
was, yeah, that's a
she
good point right there
actually
too.
she had somebody that she was colluding with, and I thought I had something written down about him, but she had someone. Okay, so her name is Afton Elaine Burton. She was 26 years old and he was 80. Um and the person that she was colluding with, they were actually going to, once Manson died, they were going to be able to have, because if she was legally married, then she would get his body, right? And then they were going to make a, um, like a tourism thing with his body, so
Did
that
he know
people
about that?
he found out.
Oh, okay. So he said no.
Yeah. Yeah. So they never actually got married. And she had a website, and the website talked a lot about him. And so what she said on her website was that the reason why they didn't get married was because he was sick and he was in the infirmary, and so he couldn't get married, and the marriage license expired. And she was hoping that they would be able to renew the marriage license once he was feeling better. That was her statement on the fact. But it was all over the news that she just wanted to take advantage of, and have a baby and get a book deal, and have his corpse for show and tell.
That's what I was wondering too. I think that there are some people nowadays too that would want to do that just so that they could say, I am married to so and so.
Oh yeah,
But
for
I think
sure.
more of it is probably that self esteem, or like you know where your boyfriend is. I don't know. I like to, well, I'm married, but and that's different. I'm like, husband, please don't go to prison, because I don't know how that's going to work out. Because for me, but I am just me. It's like, oh, okay, I like to see you. You don't have to see you every day, but I
Hmm.
don't want to only see you once a month for 30 minutes.
Right. Across
And
the table where you're not allowed to touch. Yeah.
mhm, and do a
Um,
little peck.
yeah. My husband and I, we've been apart. So we've been married for 24 years, and probably about half of that we've been apart, I would say, if I've done the calculations before. Um,
Because he
and it
travels for his job.
Yeah, so I mean, it sucks for sure. It's not fun by any means. And then every time we get back together, we have to like relearn how to communicate. So that's probably the same thing with the people who are in and out of jail, and every time they
Mhm.
come back to their families, they have to relearn all of that stuff. So I was before you hopped on, I was talking a little bit about, like, there are pen pal programs, and I think that those are perfectly fine because um you know inmates they do need like the connection to the outside world, and they do need people to talk to. And a lot of the pen pal programs, they like vet the people who want to become a pen pal first. They want to make sure that you're not actually trying to get a book deal out of this or something like that.
Okay.
My mom, does a program through church,
I
and
was gonna say I heard a lot of them were through church.
right, yep, and she writes to a couple people, but um they do the thing that I don't like, and she's never given them money, but the thing I don't like is that one of the things is that they're always asking her for money. They're always
Mhm.
asking her to put stuff in their commissary. And I feel bad for my mom because she just wants to be there. She just wants to help people. And she just wants to, communicate with them but she mostly just wants to listen to them and be a person who's just there to listen. And then they're, oh, but by the way, I also need money in my commissary, or she actually did go visit one kid one time, and he wouldn't even talk to her until she gave him money for the vending machine.
Yeah, that's sad. That's
So
I think a lot of people, so I think with some of those things, people are able to manipulate people if they think that this person thinks that they love them. Oh,
right,
you
right,
so the person in prison, because hey, guess what? For women, it is nice if someone tells you that you're pretty, you're beautiful.
yeah,
Oh, you're the only person I can talk to. I've never felt this way before. I'm like, oh, okay, give me the butterflies. Give me the
absolutely.
butterflies. But you have to be cautious with stuff like that. But your mom or other people are trying to do, uh, I would hope, I'm not talking about your mom, but that are trying to do a service of, oh, okay, let me help out this person. Or because, hey, some people can be rehabilitated, but I don't think your mom's not writing murderers, is she? Or she could be.
No, no. Mm-mm.
Because I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, if she is, whatever. But your mom's not trying to
Right.
be in love with him. And
Oh
that's
God,
sad
no.
that these people are doing stuff like that. I know people. I know people, and now again I've learned to not judge because you never know what's going to happen. But there are people that have their prison weddings and then the person gets out and they have kids, and I'm like, I'm hoping for the best,
Yeah.
but you just never know. You
Hmm.
never know.
Hmm. Yeah, and like I was saying before, learning how to you have to relearn how to communicate with each other. And if, like, my husband, he's in a very masculine job, right? And he's
Mhm.
around a lot of men, and there's like specific way that he can talk. There's a certain way that he can talk around them, and then he gets home and it's just like, you know okay, well, I'm your wife, I'm not a
Yep.
soldier.
Mhm.
And it's like two completely opposite atmospheres. And I think that that might be what it's like when you get out of prison. Is it's you get out of where you're around, probably 99% males and maybe one or two female guards, right? And then you try to go home and get back into family life and trying to learn how to communicate with everybody. That's got to be really hard, especially if you're a person who you started the family while you were in prison.
Mhm. And
I
then
think.
depending on how long you've been in prison, because I know with current story Gypsy,
Mhm.
I am not following her on Instagram, but I have looked at some of the things and I'm like, oh, okay, that's cute. And then I look at the comments and people are, why are you using this filter? Why are you doing that? I'm like, she just got out of flipping prison.
I
Let her
know.
have fun and use the filters. Why
Yeah.
are I like the filters if I
I
can figure
know.
it out.
I
I'm like,
know.
Snapchat is it's cool with the I'm like, oh look, that did make me look good. Or look, now
I
you have
know.
that one, you
There's
open
a
up your mouth
filter.
and then now you look like a dog. And I'm like, ha ha ha, that's funny.
If there's
But
a
also
filter that
she
like smooths out my skin and like makes me look better, I'm all about using it.
uh well the person I hope I don't mispronounce your name, but like Auntie said, you are beautiful, so you don't even need a filter. But also again with her, I think there's one thing she posted and it was like, oh, this is my nephew. Girls, do but blah 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 with the DMs. And for me, I'm like, ugh,
Yeah, no.
ugh.
Like, nope, nope, honey.
But whatever, she'll figure it out.
She will. Yeah, she will. And I'm pretty sure that she's got so she reunited with her dad and his family and her like siblings and stuff on that side. So one of her sisters is I think kind of managing everything right now. Like all of because she's being flooded with people that want to talk to her. So from what
You
I've
mean like
read,
in prison when she was flooded with the men?
yeah, like first let me read the letter, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust these guys.
Exactly. Well, she's married now. We all know.
Yeah, yeah. I hope that I just hope that he's a good guy because I mean, her life has been nothing but trauma. Like her entire life. She's never known uh even for one day how to live a normal life. So I
Mhm.
just hope that he is actually a good person and that he is good for her, and has her best interests, like putting her best interests first, because she has a lot of rehabilitation to do, a lot of, and I don't know what she's done in jail. She's probably been to therapy and that kind of stuff in jail already, but that's not a normal life either, so she's
Mm-mm.
never, until she got out, and even now she's not living a normal life. She shot from what, like 1,000 followers to like 3 or 5 million or some crap like that.
I think she's at like 8.3.
Jeez. And like you said, so many people are just on there to judge her. I
Mm-hmm.
also hope she's not reading comments.
Comments make me mad.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Once in a, mm, I won't go into that, but
Okay.
I could go off about people in their comments.
Well, people are nasty. But
I guess an additional aspect is the amount of false convictions muddy the waters on they are innocent or not with the inmates. Oh yeah, I mean, there are so many false convictions because the prosecutors just need to get someone in jail and they need to do it now. And it doesn't matter if this person's guilty or not, which it's always been the case, but we're finding out more about it now, right? Because of like Innocence Project and various things like that. And there are, I bet, a lot of people who correspond with the inmates, and they really, the inmates have someone who believes that they're innocent, right? Because no one in jail is going to believe you're innocent because everybody says that. But if you're corresponding with somebody on the outside and they're believing you, that probably feels good that you're being validated, like, oh, I totally believe you're innocent. And oh, that's actually one person that reminds me, that's one person I wanted to bring up was Damien Eccles.
remind me of
So
who that is.
Damien Eccles is one of the West Memphis Three. Do you remember that whole thing? So
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so are those the guys that I think they're all in jail right now, but were they accused of killing some kids?
yeah,
Like
they're
stealing their
actually
bikes
all
or
out.
something? Oh, are they
They're
out?
all
Okay.
out. So they took an Alford plea. Do you know what an Alford plea is?
Is that the one where they say that they don't plead guilty, but they say that there's probably enough evidence to say
Yeah,
that you did it?
yeah. So they're
Mhm.
not. Proven. They aren't proven not guilty, and the case is still closed. So they are not pursuing any other avenues as far as trying to find the actual killer. But there's an outstanding documentary. It's actually in 3 parts. It used to be on HBO. It's called Paradise Lost. It's
Mm.
outstanding. And what happened was there's a documentary crew who was down there and they were filming, and they didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't actually think that these 3 boys were going to be convicted. And so that was they got it all on camera as it was happening. But Damien Eccles met his wife she wrote to him, and that's one thing that reminded me about being innocent was she immediately, thought that he was innocent, and she was actually the person who fronted his it was also with Johnny Depp and Eddie Vedder. There were a couple other famous people that were in on that too. And because Damien was the only one of the three that was on death row,
Mhm.
the other two just got life. So they were trying to, along with a legal team, they were trying to get his conviction overturned. And so his wife ended up being the person, like the main advocate for that. And like getting all of these people to, Eddie Vedder and Johnny Depp put in lots of money. He had like a really good law team and stuff like that. But unfortunately, he was not ever, obviously, like we just said, he wasn't found not guilty. The convictions still stand. But I guess with the Alfred plea, the courts also are like, well, you've served enough time. But if these guys were actually the vicious, violent murderers that
Why did they
they
let them out?
say, yeah, hmm I
And
mean,
they're not going to look for the real person or persons
mhm, yep,
um, responsible for it. That's sad. But so well, there you go. See, that's a different case right there because this person most likely because I've heard that I think maybe 80%, maybe 90% people think that they didn't do it,
hmm
and she became a pen pal or I'm sure they wrote to each other first and
yeah,
married him,
hmm
and they're still married.
hmm
That's a very interesting one.
yeah, yeah, hmm
Did you hear the news now? Because I'm sure I didn't look him up, but I'm sure he had plenty of pen pals, which icks me out too. The Innocence Project is trying to work with Scott Peterson
Oh my gosh, I
to get him
just
out.
saw that. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
I'm sure that guy.
I'm in shock.
Yeah.
So the way the Innocence Project works is you have to have DNA evidence. You have to have DNA evidence, and you have to have some type of new evidence um, for them to even start looking into your case, because they get, thousands of cases,
Mhm.
given to them every year, and they only pick so many. And so with them, you have to have, either it has to be DNA evidence, or it has to be, like all that junk science that they try to use in trials, like bite marks, or um um I don't know. There's so much different junk science that they try to use, and a lot of times the, like, so-called experts aren't even like an expert in that field, or it's just like the coroner, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, I've seen a bunch of bite marks before. That looks like a male bite mark, and he's 32 years old," or some weird crap like that.
Mhm.
So it has to be, or shoe prints, all of that stuff is just junk science, and it doesn't have any, real actual, you can't necessarily prove that that belongs to that specific person. So those are the things that they're trying to overturn, is anything that person that's been convicted with junk science being used in their trial, or if you have new DNA evidence. So that means that he would have had to have some type of law team already working on it, and they found something new for the Innocence Project to even look at it. And for them to take this case, they know they're going to get massive, massive, what's it called? Pushbacks and stuff like that. They're going to get so much crap for this.
I'm giving him crap because I'm
People,
wondering what could be the new evidence. I thought I heard that it was either something regarding the burglaries that were happening around that time.
mhm,
And I think maybe that evidence wasn't included or something like that. But
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I believe that the jurors never heard about that.
I don't know. I still think he did it, but also I'm not in California, so I don't have to listen to his trial. But that'll be something interesting to.
It'll
Um,
be interesting to follow for sure.
mhm,
Mhm.
totally.
Yeah, and he is definitely another person who has gotten so many, I mean, probably thousands of women writing him.
And he's a wife slash baby murderer.
Mhm.
Convicted. I can say that now.
And yeah, I mean, he is convicted. Um,
I mean, can I say that about OJ? Wink, wink. Not a baby murderer, but I don't want. Hold on, let me not get us in trouble because he was not
actually,
convicted, but not of murder. Convicted of stealing his stuff back. But anyways,
right, right. Um, there was somebody's wife, I don't remember who, I wrote it down, but one of the people's, wives actually, because she believed that he was innocent, I'm pretty sure it was Ted Bundy's wife, said, "Well, everybody says that OJ's guilty, and we see how that turned out." So she, like, compared her husband to OJ.
I just don't know how people said that Ted Bundy was so handsome. I mean, he wasn't ick, but you want to know
Yeah.
why I think it was? And I'm totally off topic. I think it's because Mark Harmon played him in a movie. Because Mark Harmon
Oh,
is handsome.
he is very handsome.
Ted
Yes. I mean,
Bundy,
he was once the sexiest person of the year for people. So, and then recently Zac Efron played him, and it's
okay.
like you're gonna have two very handsome, charismatic actors play this guy. But yeah, I don't see it. And same with like Richard Ramirez, definitely don't see it.
Bless his heart. Nope,
Mm.
nope. I don't even want to say that with him. I'm just thinking about the fact that those women wanted to marry him or did marry him. And he, ugh, ugh. I guess it'd be called halitosis, which I shouldn't make fun of his grossness. Or I won't make fun of that, but he was an icky person. You know who else I think
Hi, Cat. There's our
that,
friend Cat.
yeah, I don't know. You know what would be interesting to do is to see the ratio of the women, because again, there's not that many women serial killers.
Hmm.
Or you don't even have to be a serial killer. It could just be high profile. Because I was thinking of
Right.
some high profile women who are still alive because you know what Warney, what's her name? Yeah,
Eileen.
Eileen.
Hmm.
Eileen, but she was executed, which is interesting. Was that in
Hmm.
Texas? Because they kill you quick in Texas.
Florida.
Oh, she did all her stuff in Florida. Okay,
Hmm.
because I'm like they kill you quick in Florida as well.
Hmm.
But somebody else, which I wouldn't be shocked if she did have out of prison suitors, would be Susan Smith, and she was recently
Oh,
in the news
yeah.
because she was having relations with guards and stuff. But Susan Smith, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
she's
That's a good one too.
or that other lady. Is she Diane Downs? I don't think anybody wants to get with her because she is there's definitely something not all together up there. Did you see her interviews? So,
Uh-huh.
but it would just be interesting to know if there are besides Gypsy, because like again, she's in the news recently
Hmm.
with all these suitors because
Right.
there
Right.
are women that are
He
horrible.
is
Susan
cute.
Smith is horrible, horrible, horrible woman,
Oh,
and I'm
very,
so glad that
very.
she's still in prison.
Yes.
I mean,
Hmm.
that's super horrible.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
how many men are writing her and wanting to marry her, but she's not
Right.
getting out. Gypsy got out,
Right.
which
And
is
I mean, she deserved to get out for sure.
mhm.
The other kid, I mean, he deserves to rot.
Oh, the guy that did the actual murder.
Go John.
Hmm. Nick
Yeah. Yeah.
Nick
He,
Godejohn.
Yeah, he deserves to stay for his life for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Very, very manipulative to her. I had a couple things starred.
Okay.
Didn't Bundy like to go for single moms and stepped up for the child to create a bond for the mom to stay since they got lucky to have found a man that would accept a child? Yeah, I've heard that before too. And Carol Ann, she did have, so Bundy was actually her third marriage, and she did have so one thing I read was that Carol Ann and Bundy met at work. They worked in the same office, and they were both married at the time that they had started their like little office romance. Um so they obviously got rid of those marriages and then got together, but yeah, she had a child at the time. And so I mean, I could definitely see him being that type of person who would be like, "Hey, no one else is going to accept your kid. I'm here for you." So she also described him as shy and kind of reserved, which would make sense to me too, because he was already killing by the time they got together. And if he was going to play like a shy kind of reserved type of man, then there's less chances for anything to slip out. If she's going to get used to him being like a guy that just maybe doesn't talk a whole lot, then she's not going to be able to get in with him too deep, right?
That's deep, Peggy.
And Auntie said, we have two ladies in here. How would you speculate why these ladies fall for these monsters? Just theories. Yeah, and I think we did cover that a lot. And I think my biggest one is that they're looking for that stable person that they feel like they can control, or they can fix. Like women want to fix people. We're nurturers, right? Like, by even if you don't have children, you still have that nurturing for whatever, your friends, your animals, stuff like that. You still have that nurturing type of personality.
And my theory is the self-esteem theory.
Yeah, yeah. Having someone who's always telling you how wonderful you are.
I tell you what, it's nice.
It is.
And people in prison, I think maybe not all of them, but I'm thinking that okay, that'll make you feel better, and you know where he's at all the time.
Yep. Yeah, you
Mhm.
do.
Okay, you said you had something starred.
Woo.
What?
Oh, I just read it. I
Oh,
just
that
read
was.
it.
Oh, I was like, what did you have starred? I thought I might have interrupted you.
Ted Bundy did confess to murder, did he not? Yeah, he did. He confessed. So I'm not sure why Carol Ann was so convinced that he was innocent. And you know what? He could have been telling her. We don't know what he was telling her that whole time either. He was obviously very manipulative, their whole relationship.
This is the lady he met after, or this is the one that was trying to help him out, right? Because he had the girlfriend with the kid, but that
Right.
was a
No,
different lady.
that's who
Okay.
I'm talking about, is Carol Ann, who became his wife. She thought that he was innocent the whole time.
Oh, okay, but the other girlfriend helped turn him in.
Right. The one
Okay.
who wrote the book, Susan Downs, they did have an affair.
Well, he was a girlfriend. He had like a girlfriend for a while.
Yeah, she's the one who wrote the book.
Oh, okay.
The notorious book that came out about him. She wrote
Mm,
about like their relationship together.
okay.
Yeah.
Peggy, I have another topic for you.
Oh,
Not
I'm
not with
down.
this, but another topic for us to talk about. I'm not trying to I'm just don't worry, I got another topic for us to talk about. It's a good one.
Good, good. because I like chatting with you.
Thank you.
You're I feel like I was even telling my husband last night, I feel like you're way better at this than I am.
No, I just like to talk, but I have a good topic for us. But that'll be another. I'll
Okay,
tell you
good.
about it later.
Yes, please do. Um,
Hmm.
for anybody who doesn't know, Gaytrice is one of our editors on the That's So Fucked Up podcast, and she has co-hosted a couple times. And I can link her episodes in the show notes too. Which do you remember which? I think you've done like
I
3
did
or something.
no, just two.
Oh, 2. Do you remember which ones?
Robert the doll,
Oh, yes.
and then there was a Christmas one. I think I ended up on a Christmas medley though, and it was about the Christian singing cult.
Oh, yes. Yes. That one. I did the check listen for that one.
Hmm. Yeah, but Robert the doll, that was freaky. That one was a group effort too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And so Gaytrice and I went on a retreat with other members of That So Fucked Up team, and we went to Miami
It
for
was
a couple
fun.
days. It was so much fun. And so Robert the Doll is in Key West. And so we were thinking about driving out there to visit him. But once we got out there, we realized it's a 3-hour drive one way. And so it would be like somebody would be driving 6 hours in one day. We kind of decided to nix that idea.
Plus, you have
But
to be specific with the doll, but listen to the episode.
yeah,
Don't look
yeah.
at them without asking permission. Don't take your picture. Don't be rude.
Mm-hmm.
It's
He's
creepy, but it's good.
he's he's a very particular boy. But yeah, I'll
Hmm.
link the episodes in my show notes so that you guys can listen to them. But yeah, Robert the Doll has always been the one of the ones that I've been super fascinated with. So that's a really good episode. All right, my friends. I want to thank everybody for coming and supporting me. I appreciate you guys so much. It always makes me so happy when my friends come on and chat, and then I don't have to talk to myself. And Gaytrice, I'm sorry that we got our dates mixed up. I
It's
said at
not
the very beginning of the episode, next time I have to write down a date and not just like Saturday.
me as well. And then also, you're good at the Discord, but I'm better with my phone. I think you have my phone number.
I do.
So
Yes, and I was actually thinking that we should switch to texting.
yeah, I'm like, because I love the Discord, but I have it's with all those social media things. I just have my notifications off because
I do
there's
too.
so many different chats.
Yep.
I'll even do it with text. I'm like, thank you, iPhone, that I can silent group text because I love my friends, but I don't need to know all of that stuff.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So yeah,
I
so
did about 2 years ago. I started putting everything on silent, and it's been really good for my mental health because anytime that phone dings, I have to go pick it up right away. So
mhm.
yeah, it's been really good for me to have to put everything on silent. So sometimes you might have to text me like twice, but
Silent and do not disturb are like my favorite things
yeah, absolutely,
besides
absolutely.
naps. But anyways, well, thank you for having me again, and my apologies for getting the the
Oh,
things.
no
I was like,
worries.
I went to the gym. I tried to get an oil change. I'm like, okay.
Oh no,
I'm
I'm
trying
so
to find this book at the Goodwill, which is like I'm not. I keep throwing it out in the universe. It's kind of I believe in the law of attraction too, so I
Mhm.
might speak like that. But I'm trying to manifest me finding this Stephen King book.
Oh, what's it
Uh,
called?
well, it's either the Bachman books because they took them off the like they stopped publishing them. But I'm
Oh,
looking
okay.
just for one, and I can't find like it's 4 books in one, kind of like different seasons. But he wrote it as someone else, and it's called Rage. But
Oh, yep. Yeah.
like I can't figure out how to. I'm thinking the Goodwill will be my saving grace, or unfortunately, an estate sale or something like that. I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't want anybody to pass away, but I might find it at an estate sale
Right,
where people are
right.
like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
Because I don't want to pay $100 for it.
Yes, I was just gonna say I've seen Rage listed for like a couple $100.
Then you can keep it.
Yeah. All right, friends. Thank you so much for supporting us, and we will talk to you later.
Have a fabulous day/night. Because I think someone said good night. So,
Yes, we do have
yeah.
2 friends that are watching from Europe right now, so
Oh, snap. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, have a great evening. Have a great day.
Bye-bye, friends.
And thank you.
Thank you.